There are so many creepy animations on YouTube that I've decided to dedicate an entire series to it. If you're into animation yourself, check out the video that I did on creepy moments and cartoons a while ago after watching this one. With that being said, let's get right into the creepiest YouTube animations. And as always, check out my social media. Videos and everything else are linked below. Thanks for watching too. The first video we'll be talking about today is called The Crow and the Raven. Shout out to the person who suggested it, of course. The video starts off with someone swinging on a tree. Yeah. It then says,
"In bereft land, the raven flies,"
and then shows a bird coming into existence before showing the raven and
"Peep, peep, we call. You and I look up to see resplendent glory. The raven. We open our mouths to partake of the raven's fruit. The raven, and the raven satisfies strong flowing, deep currents. The desire, but we bite the hand. The meal is insubstantial. We punish the raven, but she knows it not."
I'll explain this further thanks to a pinned comment, but for now let's keep going. After this, it shows the crow with what looks to be arms, legs, and wings around it, as we then see the raven in a casket type box. Eventually the figure on that swing I was talking about decides to get off of the swing and start heading home. So you may be pretty confused, as was I. The person who suggested the video told me this: the crows themselves are representing humanity. They are overweight and needy towards the raven, who continues to feed them, and in turn the crows take more than just the apple from her in their gluttonous appetite. The raven represents ideas such as nature or anything that embodies the world which we are given, and a solid reason to why the raven is nude is because it is represented as something beautiful, a complete contrast to the crows. It gives the people sustenance, aka the apple, needed to survive, and we continue to take more, hence why the crows are morbidly overweight. The only things about bereft land is that bereft means deprived or lacking, likely from the gluttony and or greed of the crows, who are metaphors for humans. The comment pinned by the creator of the video has a similar interpretation, but paints the raven as a more malicious entity. It's giving us, or the crow, improper food. However, we're already powerless despite us biting the hand because the raven has already fattened us up and taken over control. The end likely represents humanity forcing itself to move forward and change. Tell me what you think below. Dai 06 Kai Amateur CGA Contesto Nyusen Kodoku is a video that was posted on April 6, 2018. However, obviously because of the title, this animation was actually created before March of 1994 since it was submitted to this amateur CGA computer generated animation contest. So what does this animation actually entail? It starts off with a man waking up in some type of sickbay. Or maybe an autopsy room, I'm not sure. As he walks down this desolate hallway, it really gives the viewer an uncanny feeling. Eventually he reaches a crossroads and picks a path. When he gets to the door, he looks surprised, I think? Because in the doorway a robot appears. He desperately tries to run away from the robots, who are likely going to take him back to that autopsy room. The way he's running reminds me of a dream sequence. It feels like the hallway's never ending as he keeps running, and more robots start to follow him. As he's standing there, the screen flashes and he collapses, which probably means that he got electrocuted. The robots communicate with each other. Feel free to translate this text part if you want. The camera zooms out and shows that they're in fact on a spaceship. Maybe he's a human that was captured by aliens. Either way, this animation is both amazing and extremely uncanny. Good stuff. Anyone remember that game Pumpkin World? The one where you,
I'm very hungry. Give me the fish. Give me the jam.
Yeah. Well, imagine that, but somehow much weirder.
I am very hungry. Give me the butter.
This animation is by Andy Wilson 92, the same person who made a very infamous SpongeBob animation. Based on both of those, you can imagine how unnerving this animation really is. After more eating, he finally leaves and says,
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
The uncanny animation along with the distorted voice and background noise all culminate in a pretty creepy experience. There are actually multiple episodes in the series as well. Here are some highlights before we move on to the next subject. Spamlin II is a video that was posted 12 years ago.
In a gravitation without warning, the face of rubbing grew sudden black angry mouths. The clouds swallowed up with horsehair. The air was religion with suppressed excitement. The walk howled through the solidness and sobbed, and calfskin and the secret of the desperado.
The imagery here is very eerie, although it personally doesn't give me a creeped out feeling. It feels more chaotic than anything else. Everything is kind of quivering and asymmetrical. It's just completely chaotic, like I said earlier. That's really everything I had to say about this one. It's extremely good and you should watch the full thing yourself in the link below.
The ears, the octave monks, unspeakable blasphemies, streak with 2 drop-off. Rain came down. Delicatessen cataract napkins of lightning chased one comp like battling fiery dragons. Freak jangled, hideously out of urgent cheaper, and pressed experiment. The Caravaggio threw issues more than latently, and rubbed, both notched.
Untalkative Bunny is a kids show that aired starting in 2001. The show details a yellow rabbit and his troubles living in the big city. You may ask why I'm mentioning a television show on a video about creepy YouTube animations. Well, I saw it on YouTube, so I just kinda included it. Either way, I'll be talking about the double Mocha segment. It begins with Untalkative Bunny walking down the street before a guy comes up to him and says,
Psst! Hey! Remember me? Brian. We were both at the Coffee Quitters therapy session. Listen, I'm back in the coffee now, and life's never been better. Even more so since that coffee bar over there opened last week. Oh, you just gotta try it. Ask for the double mocha. It's perfection.
Alright, so this episode is about addiction. Now, obviously, because it's a kid's show, they had to choose coffee, but the concept is still unnerving nonetheless. The man talking sounds incredibly unstable, either because he's hyped up off caffeine or because the coffee is keeping him sane. I mean, we know that both Untalkative Bunny and the man were dealing with severe addiction if they were attending a therapy group, right? Therefore, it's reasonable to say that this is an extremely dark start to a kid's show segment. The bunny walks over to the coffee shop and gets barked at by some dogs before going inside. Once he goes inside, we see this sequence. Some of you may be asking why they're all swishing around their drinks like mouthwash, and to that I would say, I don't know. But I do know that this is also clearly Bunny battling with his addiction. When he can't take it anymore, he does go over to the counter, and after the barista suggests a bunch of different coffee varieties to him, he chooses the double mocha. It then shows Bunny imagining everything the bartender is saying. He's very good at describing coffee, even I wanted some by the end of it. Then the bunny puts his face in the double mocha, and that's it. A story of someone losing to addiction masqueraded by a childlike facade. Or it's just a kid's show episode about being addicted to coffee. Whatever.
Here's a story from North America.
Yeah, I'll bet you've heard of this one. Story from North America. If you haven't seen it before, you should watch it, but I'll give you a play-by-play here. It starts off with a kid calling his dad into his room. The dad isn't very happy about it. The kid points out that there's a bear cub-sized spider in the room, and the dad begins his lesson on how you need to have empathy for all life instead of taking it. Everything just has a rustic and grotesque look to it, which is really the basis for me adding it here. The dad says that the spider isn't really gross and that you need to appreciate life. He also describes the beauty of the spider and says that the world is full of creatures. The sun is in the center of the world. Imagine if a giant hand wanted to crush you. He then asks what if the spider hurt him. The dad responds that the spider hasn't hurt him yet, so he has no basis for ending its life. Think about the spider's position. The kid continues by asking what if the spider did do it, and the dad basically says that there are a lot of what ifs, and you need to consider more than just the outside. Finally, they come to an understanding and let the gigantic spider out. Great ending.